The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as it's designed. I think one of the largest or one of the most common problems that I encounter with a lot of people is that they keep insisting that the system is broken. And broken things, uh, they don't keep producing the same results. The system is doing exactly what it's built to do. And I'm going to go into explaining that in detail, and I'm also going to offer a little bit of a solution. But let's dive into it. My mouth is dry. So I want you to think about something. Let's say you have a car. You just bought a brand new car. And you've driven it, let's say, 3 years, roughly. Before all of a sudden, one day, it starts making a noise. Some kind of grinding noise. You immediately know in the moment that it's making that grinding noise, something is wrong. You know something is wrong because what normally happens is the car doesn't make that noise. What normally happens is the engine just runs quietly and your car drives. That's what normally happens. This is an outlier. Something that is not normal is now happening. So understanding that logic, when you look at poor people being unable to eat, people being unhoused, over 500,000 homeless people, when you look at people unable to afford their health care, people not being paid wages that they can live on, billionaires owning the majority of everything, the rich getting richer, billion-dollar corporations getting richer, while some people are starving to death. When that's the norm, when that's happening every day on a consistent basis, what that tells you is that is the system working exactly how it was designed to work. It's not a mistake. It's not bad luck. And it's certainly not broken, because broken things don't keep producing the same results. They just don't. When something's broken, that means that it's doing something abnormal. So when you see somebody who is poor, like me, for instance, who came up with absolutely nothing and now I own a multi-million-dollar company, that is abnormal. That is abnormal. That would make the people in control of the system worry because something abnormal happened. Do you understand what I'm getting at? So if something keeps happening, it's not an accident. Accidents happen once. Patterns happen on purpose. This is just the way that all systems work. So it's very important that you identify this, and I'm going to get into why. The second reason why I could tell you this is because the system that we have in place, that we live in, is designed to follow rewards. It's designed to follow incentives, not rules, rewards and incentives. This is something that I hammer over and over again in every one of my videos, and there's a reason for that. But rules, that's just what people say out loud. Everybody wants to say out loud they're following the rules. But we know that's not true. We know that. In fact, in 2016, when there was a political debate, we all heard what Donald said. He got up and he said, I take advantage of the system all the time. And he openly said this. So we know that the rules are just people wanting to look like they're being honest, wanting to look like they're good people. Well, I follow the rules. But what we see time and time again is it's the people that don't follow the rules who wind up succeeding the most. And so it's the rewards that actually matter. People do what gets them paid. People will even do things that don't sound like the right thing to do just to get paid. And we've seen this time and time again. And nobody cares how you got the crown. Everybody just bows to it once it's on your head. So it's kind of like you could be this person that says, you know what? I'm going to lie on my taxes. I'm going to speed and drive through stop signs. I'm going to, whatever it is, large or small, I'm going to figure out a way to not follow the rules. And when that rewards you and you succeed and you become this, successful multimillionaire, now you could donate to causes. You can, be philanthropic, invest in people's business ideas, so on and so forth. And you could pay publicists to circulate narratives about you. What a great guy you are. Wow, what a great guy he is. He donated to this business or this nonprofit. He donated to this cause. He did this, he did that. And then all of a sudden, you think anybody's going all the way back into your history to look at all the rules you broke to get there? No, they don't care anymore. They don't care anymore. So a job might even say, or a corporation that you're working for, they might even say like, hey, we really care about the quality of our product and services. But you ever notice that it's the person that works at that company that cuts corners and sacrifices the quality of those services, sacrifices the quality of those products, but the profit margins go up? They're the ones that get promoted. They're the ones that get promoted. The company doesn't reward the person who really tried to give quality products and services. It rewards the person who sacrificed those things to increase not only profits, but transaction speed, getting people in and out quicker, all these types of things. It's a funny story, but when I was younger, I remember whenever I drove through a fast food restaurant, I remember that the person in the drive-through window would always say, hey, how are you doing today? Or like, ask me, hey, how are you doing today? Welcome to, Taco Bell or whatever it was. And they don't do that anymore. Another thing is that they would offer you, they wouldn't offer you products that you didn't want. What happened is there was a major switch, and now you drive through a fast food, and they don't even ask you how you're doing. That's been eliminated because transaction speed's getting affected by the person working there asking that. So you're actually asked not to do that. So the first thing they say is, welcome to Taco Bell, can I take your order? Welcome to Taco Bell, can I take your order? Welcome to McDonald's, or whatever the company is. Excuse me. And even though people have complained repeatedly to stop asking me at the end of me giving you my order whether or not I want to buy a cookie or whether or not I want to buy an added thing, or like at the gas station when you pump gas and that little thing comes up on the screen and it says, would you like to buy a car wash? Everybody's complained about this over and over and over again, but nobody's doing anything about it because they don't care that you're complaining. They don't care that they're downgrading the quality of your experience because they have looked at the numbers and have found that it's profitable to do that, whether it's annoying you or not. And so this is the reason why I could say in earnest that the system is designed around incentivizing you or people chasing what incentivizes them. And not what's right, not what's moral. This is the way the system works. Now, the system cares more about staying calm than being fair. And what I mean by that is that fairness causes problems. Trying to create a level of fairness in a system like this, you can't have the same outcome. You can't. If you're judging fairness by outcomes, it's impossible. You could try to judge fairness by opportunity, but even then, that disrupts the system that is designed to incentivize people. Because it's not, again, we're not talking about what's in your best interest. We're talking about what is going to incentivize you more. And often what incentivizes you more is actually completely on the contrary to what's in your best interest. It's easier to keep a bad system running than to fix it and deal with the mess that comes after. Change causes chaos. Can't have that. The system prefers things stay predictable. And part of keeping things predictable is eliminating fairness, not having any change, not allowing anybody to fix the way that the system is. And even if they're wrong, even if they know that these things have really bad, immoral, unethical things that are occurring, they don't care. It's better to preserve the system and the institution. And this is the way the people that control it look at it. Or not really the people that control it, because there is no cabal that controls the system. There is just a lot of people who've benefited the most from the current system, spending a lot of energy, money, time, and resources preserving the system. And a lot of times, not even preserving the system, but preserving their place in it. Preserving their place in it, which is, again, chasing after their own incentive. If they're interested, if their incentive is power, then they are going to do whatever it takes to preserve their place in the system. If their interest is wealth, if they're incentivized by wealth, then their interest is going to be to preserve all of the structures of the system that allow more people to play and gain from it. And this is the problem, is that by being someone who complains that it's broken, what you're doing is, whether you do it conscientiously or not, is you're giving up. You're giving up because you're saying the system is broken, so it is what it is. You're saying, I submit. I give up. I'm not going to try to win. I'm not going to try to do anything because the system is broken. And that's a huge issue, and I'm going to get into why in a minute. First of all, you can't fix it. You can't fix the system, because to fix the system, you have to find somebody to blame. You have to find the people who are to blame for why it's currently broken. And the moment you start doing that, that's problematic, because you have to blame individuals. And they are, the people who benefit the most from the system currently designed the way that it is. Those decisions at the top are spread out. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of equilibrium. There's a lot of decision makers at the top that all are incentivized to keep their place within the system and to keep the system functioning as is, whether they're chasing wealth or power. And so it's a groupthink. And like I've said before on other episodes, you become insulated in that groupthink. And so when that happens, responsibility is blurry. It's a gray area. Who specifically can you blame? And that's the benefit that they have. And that is the downside that you have, being somebody who feels like that the system is broken because it's somehow betraying you. You have nobody to point at. And when you try to point at them, they can subvert responsibility very easily, very quickly. Even when you do say, well, this system is broken, things are wrong, this has affected me negatively, the people at the top, the people who've benefited from the current system, they just point at the process. Say, don't blame me, blame the process. And they're not wrong. It is the process. However, it's kind of like, well, you are the people who benefit the most from the process, and you benefit the most from keeping that process the way it is. And they could argue, sure, but, If you have everybody just doing what's in their best interest or doing what incentivizes them the most, this is what you get. And they're not wrong to say that. And so the people who benefit the most from it don't want it fixed. Obviously, they're benefiting greatly from it. Someone always wins, someone always loses, and I'm not saying that that's a zero-sum situation, because it's not. Winning does not mean someone else has to lose. However, there are winners and there are losers in the current system. And the winners will say, well, it's a very complex system. There's a lot of complexities. I mean, because they've won it. It's not broken, it's just complex. And if a system makes your life easier or richer, you don't rush to change it, even if others are hurting. You just convince yourself, you justify it by saying, well, those are just people who lost. And that ends up becoming the narrative. And a lot of people buy into this narrative. Talking about values hides what's really going on. I mean, people who are in charge of systems like to outwardly talk about trying to keep things fair. They like to outwardly talk about creating equal opportunity and, trying to have a desired equal outcome. And they like to use words to make people feel better. But the structure actually decides the outcome and decides future opportunities and who gets them. And that structure is people acting on incentives. And that's the bottom line. So a company could say all the right things while they're still rewarding behavior that hurts people, and nothing changes. And you might be saying, well, this is a lot of doom and gloom, Tom, so what do you recommend? And that's what I ultimately want to recommend, is that if the results never change and we just keep getting the same results over and over again, the patterns are just going to stay this way all the time, then why do we keep pretending that the system failed? It's like your engine. You wouldn't say your engine is broken if your car runs every day. You would say that it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It would only be when your engine starts doing something abnormal when you would say that the engine's broken. So you can't look at the system as a failure if it's doing exactly what it's intended to do. And so a lot of you might say, well, then what do you suggest we do? Do we just tear it all down, create a new system? No, you can't do that. In fact, that would be more detrimental than anything. What you need to do is you need to learn how to succeed within the system, is what you need to do. Don't try to replace it. Learn how to operate inside it. Learn how to operate inside it. Figure out a way to make the way things already are work for you. Understand incentives before judging outcomes. That's a big one. Position yourself where incentives work for you, not against you. If you know that people have an incentive, use it to your advantage. Leverage it so that it incentivizes you. And stop expecting systems to act moral. Because the truth of the matter is that you as an individual, you can have your values. You can have your morals, and you could feel like you're doing the right thing, and you could tell yourself every day, I'm doing the right thing, and you could really, really want to do the right thing. You could become successful and wealthy, and then you could become philanthropic and entrepreneurial and invest in things and help people and change lives. Your values don't need to change. You don't need to walk away from your morals. But you do need to understand that the system is not a moral one. It's not an ethical one. So build leverage and create options for yourself and get independence from the system by using it to your advantage. Position yourself where incentives work for you, not against you. That's the only real solution that works at an individual level. And you could rail against it till you're blue in the face. Until you understand that you need to do this, you're going to become one of those people that wind up being those sad stories that say, well, tough luck. You were one of the losers of the system. In fact, the only way that you could fix the system in any way is to do this. Because once you wind up gaining from that system, depending on whether you were more incentivized by power or money, if you were incentivized by power, you're probably going to do the same thing that a lot of them do, which is knock down ladders and close doors and gatekeep and make sure that no one else can get a piece of the pie now that you have it all. That might be what happens. Or you might be somebody that's just incentivized by wealth and wealth creation and changing people's lives. And if that's the case, then that's the way the system changes, is by you operating within the system, leveraging it, creating options for yourself, developing independence, finding a way to use it to your advantage. And then once you've been rewarded, use your rewards to fix the system or do things within the system that you feel need to be done. That's the only way you do it. But you know, holding a megaphone and screaming every day about why the system needs to change and why it needs to be moral and ethic, it's not going to do anything except hinder your life. Anyway, my name is Tom Kane. This is another episode of the Executives Playbook. I do this every day. I go live on Facebook, and then the video drops within minutes on my YouTube channel. For those of you who see me on Facebook, I do this every day if you ever want to hop in and leave a comment. And if you watch this later, you haven't seen it all, you want to see it later on YouTube, please head over to the channel. It is the Executives Playbook, or you could just search Thommy Kane, my name. Like and subscribe, hit the little bell, and definitely, again, leave a comment. I love to get feedback. I love to hear what you guys have to say. But for now, I'm out, and I appreciate anybody who took the time to watch. Bye.